Okay, hi everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about column types that are used when importing CSV files with the read underscore CSV function from the reader package and talk about how we could override the defaults and define the column types override and define our own column types when we import CSV data. Okay, so the argument that we can use is column types. So before we have our data, which was entered up here, and we wanted to have a comment that was added to this last row. And if I don't specify anything, it's going to read that comment as a character string. So just remember, this argument means ignore any text that comes after that hashtag symbol. So when it did the import of my data with this, it ignored everything that came after that hashtag. So it indeed treated all of that stuff as a comment. And we got a data frame with these data types over here. We had a logical, a character, and a character. And let's say we want to override that. So I want this first, the logical one was done correctly. This numeric column was read as a character because this NA was not coded the correct way. So it reads it as a character, but I want to say, you know what? No, read this as a numeric. So I can do that by saying column types equals, and then as a list, okay, as opposed to a vector, I'm going to list out the column types that I want to override. So I don't need to list all of the columns. I only need to list the columns that I want to specifically set myself. So here I want to set the numeric column to not be a character, but I want to set it to be a decimal, let's say. So I'm going to set it to be a double. So the way I do that is I say set the numeric column equal to col underscore double. So this means choose the column type double, and then I have empty dollar sign, empty set of parentheses after that. And the other one I want to change is the date column, which is being read as a character. This last entry clearly is not a date. Somebody entered something incorrectly into the CSV file. I want to override this and convert it to a date. So I'm going to set the date column. So this is the name of the column. That's where that comes from. And then we're going to change the column type to date by setting date equal to col underscore date parentheses. Okay, so it goes column name, column type. Column name was numeric. We want the column type to be double. So I'm going to run this. This ignored the additional comment that was over here. We saw that earlier. And this also now converted the numeric column to a decimal, to a double data type. It converted the date column to a date column type. But when it did so, it had an issue, and it said there was a question mark over here that I can't format as a number. So I'm just going to assume that was entered incorrectly, and we're going to change that to a missing value. It also is going to say this last date, which was the string hello, I don't know how to convert that to a date. Probably that was a data entry issue. I'm going to remove that value because it's not a date, and I'm going to replace it with an NA. So it converts the column to a new column type. And if there's any values in that column that don't fit that type, that data type, it's going to automatically replace them with NAs. But we get a warning here because maybe we didn't want to replace those values with NAs. It assumes there was a data entry issue, so let's just delete them. But maybe you want to know, well, what were these values originally? So I get this warning message. So this is not an error. My code worked, and I actually created a data frame. So there was no error, there was no crash. Just because you see this warning doesn't mean that your code failed. Everything worked fine here. I'm just getting a warning that said, hey, some weird stuff happened when we did this conversion, and you can check out what happened using looking at the problems command. And in the next video, we'll talk about how I can run the problems function to spot check what might have happened on the import and maybe fix it ourselves. But the point of this video was to talk about how you can customize the data types that are determined during the import, and you can override the heuristic by defining your own column types. But just keep in mind, when you do that, you might actually transform some of the data. And when that happens, you're going to get a warning message about it. And that's what this is telling me. Okay, so we'll unpack that warning message in the next video. Thanks.